there's a correlation between desired agility and risk. So these risk-based decisions that are being made, if you have lower risks within your organization, you have a higher ability to have agility, scale, add innovation, and be able to get time to market for what you want to do in your business outcomes. And of course, the opposite happens as well if you have higher risk.
This is FlexTalk.
FlexTalk. Welcome to FlexTalk. October is recognized as Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We're here to talk about how security plays a vital role in your evolving IT landscape and is key to achieving IT agility and the ability to scale. Derek Seiler joins us from our FlexTalk data center in Alpharetta, Georgia, with guests from Alert Logic.
So thanks, Aaron, and welcome. So John, nice to have you here as well. I know you head up our security practice at FlexTalk as product manager, and Tom Gorup as the vice president of security operations at Alert Logic. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about agility and ability to scale. John, introducing you as you go out and you talk to customers, right? And a good product manager is constantly talking to customers, trying to understand what they need. What does that mean to them? The ability to scale their infrastructure. To me, that means the ability to maybe nimbly respond to a changing business environment.
Well, what we are hearing from customers is they want to increase revenue, they want to be competitive, and also they want to meet their shareholders' needs. So when it comes to infrastructure, they want to make sure their infrastructure is scalable, they want to make sure it's reliable, and certainly they want to make sure it is secure. So when you think about agility, ability to scale, there's three use cases that organizations are continuing to work through. The first has to do with the scaling up and scaling down of resources within their environment. The next has to do with new capabilities that they want to add in a very quick manner, as well as dealing with the aging infrastructure and being able to transition that as well. So over the past year or 2 years or so, the remote users have been increasing the demand on IT resources. So as that demand increases, so does the attack surface. So it's very important that attack surface remains protected and secure. So on the front end, they may need to increase the amount of web servers they have on their web server farms. On the back end, they may need to add additional database servers as well in the applications also. So it's very important that they keep in mind application security to protect that environment. Now, everyone deals with the aging infrastructure, right? And organizations are looking at new cloud adoption strategies to be able to shift from a CapEx to an OpEx model. And in making that shift, they can immediately take advantage of outsourcing some of those infrastructure resources, including security, to be able to meet that immediate need. But overall, organizations have a desire to be able to add new capabilities to increase the ability to scale, but they want to have the confidence that the IT infrastructure can be able to resolve those challenges.
So you had mentioned like threat vectors or attack surfaces. This hybrid landscape is obviously going to bring in some new considerations around security, right? So how does security kind of play into that, when you're looking at infrastructure hosted across multiple landscapes?
When you think about security posture, it's very important. At the same time, organizations are struggling with tightening budgets, which is also impacting the decisions they have to make. And these decisions are risk-based decisions. So they have to decide how much to invest in security and how much is enough. Some organizations can secure their entire environment. Other organizations can secure the critical aspects of the environment, and then they have to assess the residual risk that's involved. And when you think of assessing the residual risk and making those decisions, you can also think of security as an investment that can lead to that agility as opposed to just an expense. Because when it can lead to being able to add resources and be able to be innovative, that can also lead to successful business outcomes. So we've worked with research analysts in the past, and we've spoken to them, and we learned there's a correlation between desired agility and risk. So these risk-based decisions that are being made, if you have lower risk within your organization, you have a higher ability to have agility, scale, add innovation, and be able to get time to market for what you want to do in your business outcomes. And of course, the opposite happens as well if you have higher risk and lower agility. But in between, you have that cost factor. And that's where that balancing act comes into play. How much do you want to invest in security to meet those business outcomes?
And security can basically be an enabler of this then, right? To kind of free up that pursuit of more agility and ability to scale. It's not a limiting factor. It can actually help to unlock this and speed it up.
That's right. And just, you want to keep in mind to secure your technology, which is an enabler to that agility and ability to scale to meet that business outcome. And that is the investment that you make in security.
Gotcha. So Tom, let me bring you in. So Vice President of AlertLogic. AlertLogic is our technology partner that sort of underpins our managed security services. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that partnership and what it means?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. And I'm excited to be here. I think it's an exciting conversation. So to start with AlertLogic, we're the first MDR provider to combine the cloud-native security software with 24/7 security operations. And the objective there is to provide you expertise that measurably improves your security posture. And as mentioned before, security posture is super important, and having a good understanding of your visibility, your exposures, and your threats. Now, our relationship with FlexTalk, I think we've been together for about 10 years as partners, and we're really revigorating, reinvesting into that partnership to provide a peace of mind to our customers. So we're really excited about that as well.
So when you hear from customers then, what are some of the best practices then that customers should be looking out for and putting into implementation, particularly when it comes to a hybrid landscape that's going across multiple cloud platforms?
Yeah, multi-cloud, hybrid environment. This is the world we live in. It's complex. It can be difficult at times. And as John mentioned earlier, it's what's the next most important thing I need to work on. So it's having a good understanding of what your security posture includes. Now, what you'll find often on the market is security posture really focused on your exposures or your vulnerabilities or misconfigurations. What they're missing out on, and I believe they're taking a blinders approach here, is that they're missing out on visibility and they're missing out on the threats. So oftentimes, it's not uncommon that when we're onboarding customers, they come to us with a spreadsheet. And that's their asset inventory, right? That's very difficult for them to manage. So visibility is hard. And how can we make that easy with continuous scanning and tell you, hey, we don't have an agent here. We don't have visibility into this area. You can't protect what you can't see. The other side of it is exposures, right? This is what we see the market really saying security posture is. It's missing. But what's important there is that we are scanning, continuous scanning for vulnerabilities, for misconfigurations in these different cloud environments. Because what we're looking for is that expertise. And that's what's really complicated. And we're working a forensic investigation a number of years back. It was a business email compromise. There was $250,000 that was transferred to a bank account overseas. And it was a byproduct of one of the email addresses of the recipient or the sender being compromised. The problem was we were unable to come to a conclusion because of a misconfiguration within their cloud email environment. So there was missing data, right? And so these understanding where these exposures are, it not only will prevent threats, but also help us to do attribution post-compromise. So these things are super important. And then there's the threats, right? That's a big part of the security posture as a whole.
Right. So that's a good use case. What about a use case where, we're sort of bringing the two together, right? Where we're combining that FlexTalk hybrid IT infrastructure along with AlertLogic's technology? Oh,
absolutely. The use case that comes to mind is very recent, is we worked with a healthcare benefit administration organization. And their focus was to be able to roll out new application, and this was specifically around coordination of care for their customers and their clients. They were based in central USA, and they also have about $90 million in revenue, and about 400 employees, and their focus was to be able to serve the Fortune 500 companies. And their main core business was to be able to provide self-insured care plans to employers. And what they wanted to do is roll out this new application to be able to add additional value and optimize the services they can provide their customers. So as they rolled out their new application, they wanted to keep it secure. They also recognized that they had, under HIPAA, they had to make sure that they met the compliance so they wouldn't get penalized.
Right, not just a checkbox, right?
That's exactly it. And also they had the reporting as well. But as an outcome, they were able to minimize the cost of claims that would come in, and they also were able to minimize the amount of doctor visits and hospitalizations were down, because what they were able to do is use data analytics to be able to bring information to the patient or the employees, so they can make some proactive and good judgment decisions on their own personal care. And that enabled the organizations and their customers to feel well as it benefit the organization financially and also technically in that regard. Now, I will say it wasn't a easy journey. One of the things that they were faced with is they had multiple security solutions in place. In addition, they were struggling with ensuring they can get the compliance reporting to their auditors, especially with the rollout of this new coordination of care application.
Right, and that app was kind of the trigger of this whole kind of conversation around.
That is correct. So we partnered together with AlertLogic. We were able to provide the cloud infrastructure as well as backup and firewall security. And then we turned to AlertLogic to provide advanced security services to partner with us as well. And Tom, if you want to share a little more about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. In order to solve the security problem as a whole, there's a lot of tools to have to manage across the board, especially when you're trying to do threat detection, threat prevention, log collection, get an understanding of what your security posture looks like, all the tool scanning that comes along with that. With AlertLogic and this partnership, what we were able to accomplish is giving the insights into vulnerabilities, the exposures within the environment. We were able to speed up that compliance requirements. How do we report on that in the shortest time possible? That's cumbersome activity. If we can centralize that, make reporting simple, that's a big win for this particular customer. And adding on top of that is the threat detection and prevention. So you'd be able to identify threats against this application and anything else within the environment, but also leveraging our managed WAF, which this customer has, it enables us to do threat prevention as well at the web application layer. So in many ways, it helps in that we can prevent initial attacks, but as emerging threats roll about, new vulnerabilities are rolling out all over the world, we can apply virtual patches as well. So we can stop these attacks while patching is taking place, right? So we can kind of get your back as we're rolling through.
So thank you. Interesting perspective, guys. So what I'm hearing, visibility is key, right? We've got multiple cloud landscapes. You have to be able to see across, all of these landscapes and really have one tool that you can kind of manage your security posture across versus, maybe having to use disparate tools, right? So any final thoughts then that you both would have around, securing your infrastructure and specifically across multiple cloud landscapes?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, sure. Appreciate it. So to your point, wrapping it up inside of a single tool allows us to provide expertise that can measurably improve security postures. And a big part of that is providing insights into visibility gaps. Where are we not seeing threats? Where are we not seeing assets? Where are we not deployed properly? We need to understand where our exposures are. What are our weaknesses? And then understand how we're being attacked. What are the types of threats that we're seeing? Use these insights to prioritize our work. As you mentioned before, security is a lot of work. There's a lot of things that we need to do. What's the next most important thing you need to work on? And that's where a good partnership comes into play.
Right. And I would like to also let you keep in mind that you want to really understand how much you're going to invest in security. So as organizations are making those decisions of how much to invest in security, think about those risks and think about the desired agility that you want to obtain. And keep that in mind for those critical business units or applications that you need to protect.
Right.
Also keep in mind the security enablers, as we mentioned, such as visibility, vulnerability scanning, network scanning, and certainly log management and file integrity monitoring, even application protection. There's risk-based controls that are very, very important that they're applied, as well as compliant and audit-ready reporting. So as you think about all those things that are surrounded by security expertise and certainly security support, those factors are very, very important. And then as you approach security, you can see it as an enabler to that agility and ability to scale, which is going to help you meet your business outcomes. And that is your investment in security.
Nice. They all come together to orchestrate a proper security posture. And Tom, on behalf of FlexTalk, we certainly appreciate the partnership. You said, for well over 10 years now, being our key technology partner, we very much appreciate that. And until next time,
Flex
FlexTalk.
Thank you, Derek, for hosting our guests. If you have any questions or would like to get in touch, please enter them into the box to the right of your screen. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next month for FlexTalk.